Nathan Jones is done, surely, as Southampton manager. And if he carries on as the manager of Southampton, the Saints will go marching on all the way to the Championship. Hello and welcome to Buzz Football. We are back with a video, not yet another video because this is the first video on the channel. And what a way to start. We're starting right at the depths of the relegation battle in the Premier League. But before I carry on, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And please feel the buzz. Right now, got that out of the way. Nathan Jones is surely done as Southampton manager. There is no two ways about it. The players don't like him, the fans don't like him, the players don't like his tactics, the fans think that he's completely out of his depth. They are languishing at the bottom of the Premier League. Everton are improving, Leeds are improving. They are surely going down. That should be the video, surely. But no, we're going to go into the deep depths of the analysis, and we're going to talk about Southampton and why he was never good enough in the first place. They should never have sacked Hasenhüttl for him, although I do think Hasenhüttl probably deserved to be sacked, purely on the basis of he had been at the club for a long time, and I think without much improvement and the fact that they were in another relegation battle, I think that club were becoming stagnant with him in charge. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't think he was emotionally in check. You know, this is a guy that used to cry when he used to win games. I mean, imagine Jerry Sacks. Fucking hell. But I just do think with Hasenhüttl, he would do a much better job now than with this Southampton team under Nathan Jones, purely because the players for 2 or 3 years did play for him, and that's blatantly obvious. Like, they win many relegation battles. They maybe punched above their weight a couple of times, and they lost games 9-0 and still revitalised their season. It's clearly obvious Nathan Jones isn't a very good man manager, and he's not a very good tactician in the Premier League. So there's no two ways about this guy's got to go. When you're relying on James Ward-Prowse to win your games, I think that's where you've got a big, massive problem. Yes, you can rely on players to win your games, absolutely. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson relied on Cantona and Schmeichel quite a lot of the time. But Sir Alex Ferguson brought those players in and made them better players. Whereas someone like Ward-Prowse, he's consistently Southampton's best player. And it's not Nathan Jones getting the best out of James Ward-Prowse. It's James Ward-Prowse getting the best out of James Ward-Prowse. And this is a manager who, his ego can write checks his talent can't cash, quite frankly. He thinks he's a lot better than he actually is. He is not a great manager for the Premier League. This is a guy that, of course, failed at Stoke. And I'm not saying that just because you fail at Stoke means that you're a bad manager, because Tony Pulis failed at Stoke for the first time and came back. Look what he did in the Premiership for them. Look at Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes is a decent manager. Not a great manager, but a decent manager. But that was in the Championship, and maybe the Championship is his level, and maybe a club like Luton is his level. Certain managers have certain peaks and certain levels, and I do believe that Nathan Jones' level is a club like Luton, maybe punching above their weight in the Championship, maybe fighting for promotion, maybe getting mid-table. A bit like Gareth Ainsworth at Wycombe, maybe. You don't see Gareth Ainsworth linked to the top jobs purely because he is settled at Wycombe and he seems like a pretty decent bloke. Nathan Jones, I'm not saying he's not a decent bloke, but he has a massive ego about him. He mentioned how he is statistically one of the best managers in Europe. But by that logic, Mitrovic was the best striker in Europe last season because he scored about 47 goals. The Championship doesn't matter when it comes to the top league. He'll talk about the Premier League, La Liga, Ligue 1, the Bundesliga, etc. The Championship doesn't really matter because, yes, statistically, he was one of the best managers in the Championship. But did he get promoted? No, he didn't. So that logic is kind of gone. It's kind of disappeared. But where did Southampton go here? Well, they should have got Sean Dyche in when Hasenhüttl got the sack. That was blatantly obvious. But Sean Dyche would have got them out of this mess right now, because Nathan Jones, as I said previously, is not a very, very good man manager. Last week, he was throwing his players under the bus. He was saying how I've gone about, my business by basically playing to their strengths. Their strengths aren't good enough. I'm going to play to my strengths. If today was anything to go by in regard to his strengths, then obviously, clearly, what they were doing previously was a lot better than what they've done today, because today was possibly one of the worst performances that we've come across for Southampton. Yes, they only just lost the game, but they lost the game at home to a relegation rival who have hired a very, very good manager who is completely above the level of a relegation battle, who were down to 10 men for most of the game. That is surely the moment where you get your troops and you basically say, right, they're down to 10 men, we're 1-0 up, we go out and win this game. But that is a difference between a good manager and a manager that's completely out of his depth. And they spent a lot of money as well, Southampton. They spent a huge amount of money in this transfer window. Were they preparing for life in the Championship with this manager? He should never have got the job in the first place. He is not, I keep on repeating myself, but he's not a very good manager. And they hired that 6'7", they bought that 6'7" striker, and he looks completely out of his depth. At the start of the season, they bought a lot of very, very good young players, and they now found themselves in a relegation battle. They've bought a lot of more expensive players, and if they don't sack Nathan Jones, they will go down. But the question is, who do they get in to replace Nathan Jones, if that was the case? I mean, we are diving in the depths of managerial bankruptcy when it comes to a relegation battle, aren't we, really? Let's face it, there's not really many managers that are going to come in. If Leeds are going to get rejected by a lot of managers, and Leeds at this moment in time are a much more stable club than Southampton are, Southampton's not going to get anybody in. What are they going to do? Get Frank Lampard in? That's not going to work. I know a lot of people don't particularly care much for Southampton as one of the elite Premier League sides. I mean, I hear a lot of people go, I want Bournemouth down, I want Brighton down, I want Brentford down, I want Southampton down. Southampton are a pretty well-established Premier League club. They were, you know, you look at the days of Matt Le Tissier and you look at the days of Marion Pahars and James Beattie. One of those cult Premier League sides of the 90s. Now they had 10 years when they weren't in the Premiership. But let's not forget, 7-8 years ago, Southampton were what Brighton are now. They were arguably everybody's second team. A plethora of young talent coming through. You look at Adam Lallana, look at Walcott. I know that wasn't in the Championship, that was in the Premier League, that was in the Championship. But in terms of the Premier League, Lallana, you had Nathaniel Klein, you had Luke Shaw, you had Fraser Forster. I know some of these players were signings, by the way. They had Morgan Schneidlin, Ricky Lambert, Jay Rodriguez. They're the most exciting sides in the Premier League. And then when they sold those players off for bigger clubs, they got in Dusan Tadic, they got Sadio Mane, they got Romeo, who I don't know if he's still at the club or not. But this was one of the most exciting, young, attractive sides in the Premiership. And I don't know whether they've just not invested well. Obviously, the youth system isn't as prominent as it once was, and largely down to clubs like City and Chelsea maybe taking the youngsters before they have the chance to sort of sign professional forms. But this is very reminiscent of a team like Aston Villa or a team like West Ham United, where they sell all the best players and they don't invest very well. They sacked Claude Puel, I think, a bit too early. The manager they had after him, Pellegrino, I think his name was completely out of his depth, the same as Mark Hughes. Hassan Hootel did a very good job for a period of time. But it's quite clear that the ambition wasn't particularly backed by the board. And I think a lot of Southampton fans have kind of known that for a while. But what do you think? A little bit of a rant on Southampton and the board of directors, and a little bit of a rant on Nathan Jones. But what do you think? Do you think Nathan Jones is completely out of his depth? I think he was out of his depth before he even got the job, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. As somebody that lives in Staffordshire and knows a lot of Stoke City fans, quite frankly, their opinion on Nathan Jones is pretty much, you know, like a carbuncle on the foot, quite frankly. Like, it's not a very nice thing. Let's just put it that way. Thank you so much for watching, hopefully the first video of many. I did mention on the previous channel how I was going to do a lot of videos over the World Cup. Personal stuff happens, you know, and you get involved with life a little bit, and sort of life kind of grabs you and you're clawing away and it keeps on pulling you back. But hopefully now I'll be a bit more settled, more videos will come, hopefully more rants, because I enjoy ranting. Thank you very much for watching this video. Remember, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Go on my Instagram, go on Facebook, go on Twitter, whatever platform I'm on, I don't know. Just put Buzz Football in there if you find it with the logo. Fantastic stuff. Have a fantastic rest of the weekend, and I'll see you later.